Good chilly Monday morning, everyone. God bless you all on this new week. I hope you all get to enjoy this cooler weather. Today I'm going to get to make a gumbo in my new Magnalite pot that I just got, so I'm looking forward to that. Maybe you all can get out your soup pots and your gumbos and get to do all that. But today I want to come on and start and talk to y'all today about spiritual sleep, sleeping spiritually. I'm just going to go ahead and start out in Luke chapter 22 verses 45 through 47. It says, "And when he rose up from prayer and was come to his disciples, he found them sleeping for sorrow, and said unto them, Why sleep ye? Rise and pray, lest ye enter into temptation." Sleeping for sorrow is falling asleep due to an overwhelming sense of grief, exhaustion, and distress. It describes a state where great sadness leads to temporary mental and physical collapse, causing someone to sleep excessively as a coping mechanism or an escape. This particular verse means their grief was so intense that they were unable to stay awake. They were emotionally and physically exhausted. Jesus had foretold his disciples of things that were going to take place, and with this came confusion, doubt, worry, fear, and burnout. We can all relate to how it feels to be completely exhausted with these feelings and the surging emotions that comes with it. Anyone that's ever went through times of uncertainty, whether it be through sickness of a loved one that you knew the outcome was going to be loss, knows that in these times we have a roller coaster of emotions. The emotions and the amount of tiredness grief brings can completely drain you. There's many things that comes our way, and it's not always death that brings us sorrow. Maybe it's the heartache of a child that's turned against you, maybe a broken relationship, or whatever causes you to have uncertainty during times of the unknown. The thoughts of the how am I going to survive, the what's next, the whys, the feelings of helplessness and hopelessness. We know in the natural how exhausting life can be, and how the circumstances can wear us out and cause us to physically sleep. But do we realize that sometimes we can allow things that come into our lives to cause us to sleep spiritually? Spiritual sleeping is a state of spiritual lethargy, indifference, and unawareness toward one's faith, often leading to sin, or on a more positive sense, it could describe a state where the soul is unburdened by these things, by physical concerns of this life. Spiritual lethargy is an unwillingness to engage with spiritual matters, leading to spiritual stupor. To be spiritually asleep is to be unable to perceive or respond to God's truth, as senses are dull to the feelings, or dull to the things of God. The consequences can lead to rebellion, falling away from faith, and a preference for sin. The negative form of spiritual sleep will follow with signs such as a lack of prayer, being influenced by things other than God's word, such as news feeds, not having spiritual comfort, but rather finding comfort in routine things, causing us not to have a fervent relationship with God. To be spiritually asleep on the positive side of things, or in the positive sense, is to be unburdened by this physical world and the cares of this life. The type of sleep that we get from Jesus that brings us rest and recharges us and allows us to gain wisdom. Sleep can be restorative and can nurture our body and our soul. We all need rest physically and spiritually, but it's the kind of rest that we participate in that makes the difference. Matthew 25:5 talks about the 10 virgins, 5 wise and 5 foolish. And verse 5 says, while the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. The word slumbered or slumber, to slumber, is to be spiritually lazy and unattentive, slacking, slothful, or negligent, and to lie dormant. Sleeping is a natural thing to do, but as Christians, we are advised to awake out of our sleep. Romans 13:11 says, and that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. 1 Thessalonians 5:5-8 says, ye are the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore let us not sleep in the night as do others, but let us watch and be sober. For they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. But let us, who are of the day, be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for a helmet, the hope of salvation. As Christians, we should never be empowered by our flesh and never allow our emotions to rule us. If I've heard it once, I've heard it 1,000 times. My pastor has said, never let your emotions be your decision maker. We should all be led by the Spirit. Regardless of what life throws at us, and I know that the fiery darts of the enemy are coming at each of us from all directions and on all sides, we must arise to the occasion, awake from the slumber, and conduct our lives in a godly manner as sons and daughters of God. Romans 8:5-14, and I'm going to just read that, says, for they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please God. But ye are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit, if so be that the Spirit of God dwell in you. Now if any man have not the Spirit of Christ, he is none of his. And if Christ be in you, the body is dead because of sin, but the Spirit is life because of righteousness. But if the Spirit of him that raised up Jesus from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Christ from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by his Spirit that dwelleth in you. Therefore, brethren, we are debtors not to the flesh, to live after the flesh. For if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. Jesus told the disciples to rise and to pray, lest they enter into temptation. Let each of us today make a decision to no longer remain under the circumstances that we find ourselves in, but rather to arise and pray. Hebrews 4:14-16 says, seeing then that we have a great high priest that is passed into the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast our profession. For we have not a high priest which cannot be touched with the feelings of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted, like as we are, yet without sin. Let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need. Romans 8:18 says, for I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to compare with the glory which shall be revealed in us. Let us not allow ourselves to be tossed about and battered by the winds of opposition, tribulation, or misfortune. None of us are exempt from the troubles of this life. We can all get the victory in every situation we face with Christ. God has promised us that he is with us in all things. He promised to never leave us nor forsake us. When we walk through the waters and we pass through them, that they will not overcome us. My little devotion today has been very short. It's just something that God's gave me kind of at the last minute. But my prayer for each of us today is that God would awaken our desire to know Him, to love Him more, and for us to not be found asleep when He returns. For each of us not to allow the things that comes against us in this life to cause us to spiritually fall asleep and to slumber in our walk with God, but to awaken out of sleep, to be sober, be vigilant, be watching. For the time is at hand, and He is soon to return. And I don't want to be found asleep when He does return. But I want to be found awake and watching and ready for His return. And whatever we go through, just know that we can always just pray, give it to God. He will give us that rest that we need to renew us and to restore us and to keep us going. So this is my little short word today. I'm sorry that it's so short. But like I said, I've been busy this week, but I have been praying for God to give me something. And it was at the last minute last night, actually, that He gave me this word. And it's, like I said, it's very short, but, I believe it's a very powerful word. And it's of great importance for us today to not sleep spiritually, but to wake up. The alarm has sounded. He set off the alarm, and it's time to wake up and to be watching and ready. I pray that you all have a very blessed week this week, and I pray that this cool weather brings you much enjoyment. And I love to cook in this weather. So like I said, today I'm going to get out my new pot and I'm going to try to break it in and make some gumbo. And I hope you all find yourself doing something the same, whether it's baking cookies or whatever. But God bless you all. And until next time, may you all be blessed and stay awake. Love you all. Bye.